يا راغبا في كل علم نافع.
ينمو العلم ويتقدم بتقنياته ومجالاته، ومعه نطور أدواتنا في تقديم العلم الشرعي. أكاديمية
زاد أكاديمية ينبوعها صاف ليروي غلة الظمآن. هذه عقيدتنا الصحيحة فطرة تنفي الشكوك بواضح البرهان. بشرى لنا زاد أكاديمية للعلم كالأزهار في البستان.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Continuing with some of the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbade, whether it's in the Quran or in the Sunnah of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, with things that would lead to associating partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as part of Islamic Creed level 3, and the details that we need to be understanding with matters of knowledge of what shirk is and how to protect ourselves from it, and the major and the minor, and all of these things is to be on clear matters of what is haram and what is halal and what leads the person to wal-'adhu billah, leave the fold of al-Islam, and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala perfected this deen in which anything that leads to the shirk and kufr, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbade it. And one of which, since we were just talking about the graves and how to deal with those who passed away, and the shaitan has his ways that he would deceive people. You know, sometimes shaitan would come into the dreams of people and he would say that righteous man that is buried in that grave, go to that grave because there's light in it, or give this or do that. And people, when there's lack of knowledge, when people don't learn matters of tawheed, they might think that this is a ru'ya from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and as we know that the deen has been completed, perfected, and what was not used to be religion at the time of the Prophet ﷺ is not going to be religion now. It is not permissible. مَا لَمْ يَكُنْ يَوْمَئِذٍ دِينًا فَلَنْ يَكُونَ الْيَوْمَ دِينًا, as Imam Malik rahimahullah he said. What did not used to be religion at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, then it should not be religion today. So for those who do these extreme ways by the graves and the mawlids and the like of these things, the simple question is, do not justify it for yourself. Did the Prophet ﷺ did something like this? They take it as a religion. That's why they seek pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in doing it. And they might even make false principles in this. You know, they would say not everything that the Prophet ﷺ didn't do, that means we don't do in matters of deen. Yes, of course. The Prophet ﷺ, either he knew about it or he didn't know about it. If he did know about it, who are you to know something that the Prophet ﷺ didn't know in matters of deen? And if he knew about it, he concealed it and he did not convey it to his ummah. So one of these things that is mentioned also is the Prophet ﷺ forbade naha an al-aqri inda al-qubur. And he said, la aqra fil Islam. When someone dies and they would slaughter animals, cattle by the grave as a way to honor the deceased or as a way to show that they showing their grief and things like this. And this is something that they used to be in matters of jahiliyyah. So the Prophet ﷺ forbade such a thing, because to prevent them from the ghulu, extremism, that would lead them to associate partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wal-'adhu billah. Because associating partners with Allah is worshipping other than Allah, is doing any ibadah to other than Allah. So when people think that this is not happening if they say La ilaha illallah, they have to understand the meaning of La ilaha illallah. Also, you know, when you see even in the details of matters of ibadah, when the Prophet ﷺ forbade us from making salah, worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone at certain times, when the sun is rising, when the sun is set, when it's actually the setting of the sunset, and this is the most intense time of where the salah is forbidden. And he said alayhi salatu wasalam in the authentic hadith, صلي صلاة الصبح ثم أقصر عن الصلاة حتى تطلع الشمس حتى ترتفع. Make Salatul Subh. Salatul Fajr is the same as Salatul Subh. Pray Salatul Fajr, Salatul Subh, then stay away from Salah. Do not make Salah till the sun rises. till it rises up high. فإنها تطلع حين تطلع بين قرني شيطان. Because the sun rises when it rises between the two horns of shaitan. وحينئذ يسجد لها الكفار. And this is the time when the disbelievers, they make sujood to the sun. So even to stay away from having an act that is similar to them, even though the ibadah of the Muslimin is to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, and their salah is to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, and their sujood is to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. But just to look as if you're doing something, an act that is similar to the act of those who associate partners with Allah, it's forbidden. Why? To stop any lead that might even lead or doesn't lead, it doesn't matter, that it might lead some to associate partners with Allah. And there's no such a thing, but I know myself and I'm not going to have this in myself. No, it's forbidden even if you are the most righteous person on the face of earth, because the Prophet ﷺ forbade it. And it's not about the hikmah or the wisdom behind it by itself only, but rather is by the fact that he forbade that ﷺ. So, and this is something that is important to understand. So this is the time where some of the mushrikeen, they make sujood to the sun at that time. So forbidding the ummah from doing the same thing, resembling them, having some form of a similarity to them. This is all from saddu dhara'i, or to block any ways or any means that would imitate the ways of the disbelievers. So then how can you imagine something what is near, when is near to shirk, when it comes to the exalting the graves and the like of this. This is all something that is forbidden by the Prophet ﷺ. And so this is in the subject of the salah. So the salah is the second pillar of Islam. And of course this does not relate to if someone wakes up, overslept, and he woke up right before sunrise and he did not pray Fajr, then in that person he should pray Fajr. He should not wait till the sun rises. Why? Because the Prophet ﷺ, he said, مَنْ نَامَ عَنْ صَلَاةٍ أَوْ نَسِيَا فَصَلَاةُ حِينَ يَذْكُرُهَا. Whoever overslept or forgot a salah, then his salah is whenever he remembers it. So what is meant by the forbidden time for the salah, as the hadith says, if you prayed Salatul Fajr, then you don't make salah till the sun rises, until it rises up. So if someone didn't pray Salatul Fajr, then he has to pray, of course. And not to make that, of course, a habit, missing the salah, but this is the case. And that's why also as-salah, dawatul asbab, if it has a reason, someone comes to the masjid after Salatul Asr and he needs to sit in the masjid then to pray 2 rak'ah. Things of that nature, but not to be at ease with these matters, and it has a valid differences of opinions among the ulama. So to that extent, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect the ummah if they obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if they obey the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, from falling into a shirk or associating partners with Allah. And the more we get to learn things, al-halif bighayrillah, swearing by other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this ta'zeem or exalting other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all these types of things, as we see, is forbidden. Still with the subject of dhara'i' al-shirk, or the means that might lead to shirk, and you would find it forbidden in the deen of al-Islam. We continue inshallah ta'ala the subject next time if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will. So till next time, I leave you with the protection of Allah. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
يا راغبا في كل علم نافع.
ينمو العلم ويتقدم بتقنياته ومجالاته، ومعه نطور أدواتنا في تقديم العلم الشرعي. أكاديمية
زاد أكاديمية ينبوعها صاف ليروي غلة الظمآن. هذه عقيدتنا الصحيحة فطرة تنفي الشكوك بواضح البرهان. بشرى لنا زاد أكاديمية للعلم كالأزهار في البستان.